All right, so we are continuing the lab for Chapter 16, and we're going to next go and actually fit this regression model in Excel. So you might want to keep this page handy so you can look back at that and remember that this is actually what we're trying to work towards and do. And we're going to get some output in Excel that looks similar to this, although not identical, because I use different data to create what's listed here in the text. So go ahead and go back to our Excel spreadsheet. And notice here we have percent returns, but we don't have lags of percent returns. So I'm going to create columns for that. And I'm going to call it percent return dot 1. That means one lag of percent return. Percent return dot 2. Percent return dot 3. Okay, now when I mean I'm going to create one lag of percent returns, what that means is on January 7th, I want this cell to have yesterday's return in it. So I'm going to reach back and get yesterday's return and put it in this cell. Equals yesterday's return. And I can fill this down by double-clicking. And we see at every point we're just looking backward one step. All right, now I'm going to go down one row and think about what I want to be in this spot. On the 8th, if this is 2 lags of my returns, I want to go back here to my data, not 1, but 2 steps. So equals 1 lag, 2 lags. And now you see that's populated by the first element. I'm going to fit this down. Now I'm going to have to go 1 again, down, and what I want to appear in this row is 3 lags of today's return. Sorry, that's the price level. What I want to be here is 3 lags of today's return. So 1, 2, 3. Again, I'm going to put what's here in this top value. Equals 1, 2, 3 lags. And so you can see this value that's at the top of the percent return column just gets populated down the diagonal here, along with the rest of the data. So when I choose any random day here, we've got the return for that day, 1 lagged return, 2 lag returns, and 3 lag returns populated across the row here. That way, what we do next is we're going to go and ask Excel to run a regression where we regress column C onto columns D, E, and F. And it's going to match everything up by row, so we needed to populate these columns with what was going on in the previous observations of the return category. All right, so let's get this regression fit. You're going to come up here to the menu bar and click Data, and then come over here to Data Analysis. And you're going to scroll down and choose Regression. This ARP model is really just a specific kind of OLS model. So I'm going to click OK. And again, for my Y range, I'm going to use column C, and the X range is going to be columns D, E, and F. Now the only tricky thing is to make sure we start at row 6, because we're going to want to start at the point where we've got observations all the way across. Okay, if I do Control Shift and go down, that'll populate the rest of the row, the rest of the column, and I'm going to populate my X in a similar way, starting with row 6, Control Shift down. Gets me that whole rectangle. And so now we've defined the location of the regression. We're going to regress returns in column C on lagged returns in columns D, E, and F. Now I want to put the output of this regression in this same sheet instead of a new worksheet, and I want to locate it towards the bottom because we're going to forecast the next returns of the next few dates. And so I want to be able to look at my regression results close to where I'm going to be building a formula for the forecasts. So I'm going to click this and just get to the bottom over here. And I'm going to put my regression results about here. That is cell K 1972, but it doesn't matter a whole lot. So click OK. And it ran the regression and put the output here. I'm going to make these a little bit easier to read by widening some of these columns. So now notice a couple of things. First of all, our R-squares are abysmal. We're not getting much predictability here at all. The coefficient estimates are here. So these values that are spit out here, I'm going to toggle back to the text, correspond to the beta naught, beta 1, and beta 2. So for example, the thing labeled intercept is the estimate of this beta 0 value. So those are the coefficient estimates. And we can look at these p-values and say, since those things are much bigger than 0.05, we're not finding any of these regressors to be statistically significant. Okay, so that should give you a clue between none of our regressors being statistically significant and the R-square being so low that we're probably not going to do a great job of forecasting with this model. But anyways, I'm going to show you how to create the forecast in case you ever discover that you are faced with a market that you can forecast. Good for you. I'm going to show you how to do it with Excel. But that seems like a good place to cut the video, so we'll continue that in the next video.